Clete, I had a unique opportunity to catch up with Miguel Regalado. He is the first ever football coach at Clarke University.
Yeah, Shelley, what is happening on Dubuque's Clarke Drive is a very unique situation. The Pride are launching their football program over 100 years after rival city programs, the University of Dubuque and Loras College, played their first game. They're going to be playing their games in a West Coast-based conference. So this is a very audacious, brave leap, but it sounds like they have the right man for the job.
Yes, he is so excited about the unique opportunity to build the foundation at Clarke. Clarke University is a small liberal arts school founded in 1843. It has grown rich in tradition in both academics and athletics, but there has been one sport missing from this university's rich tradition: football. School president Sister Catherine Dunn spent years growing Clarke athletics. In 2009, Sister Dunn created a task force to study football programs at other schools. The goal? Find out if football would be a good fit for Clarke. After months of research, the study was presented to the Clarke Board of Regents, and a 5-year plan was put in place to bring football to Clarke University.
Well, there were a number of reasons for starting football. One would to improve enrollment. You know, there's not another program that we could start, academic or athletically, that would bring in 100 new students. And that's ultimately our goal for football, is to bring in 100 new students. And from some of the studies we've done, with every football player brings another half a student. We're not quite sure how that works yet, but some of the other schools that we studied had told us that, and so we're hoping that we find that to be true as well. Without exception, every school said it was the right decision and they would do it all over again. The one piece of advice that every school gave us was to make sure you pick the right coach.
In 2017, Clarke launched a national search to find its first coach. The search yielded over 200 applicants, ranging from a truck driver looking for an opportunity to NCAA Division I coaches.
It's a really unique situation for someone to come in and start from scratch their own program and bring what they need. So we were looking for someone who had a background of success, who could, from the very beginning, set the tone. We certainly needed someone who could work by themselves with a lot of motivation and with a lot of connections and the ability to really get up in the morning and get rolling.
On March 27, 2017, Miguel Regalado was announced as Clarke's first ever head football coach. With no head coaching experience, only a vision of how he wanted to build the Clarke Pride and where he wanted to take them.
We really were looking for the person who would call this the next level in their career. And in Miguel's situation, he had not been a head coach, but he had proven himself with 9 years of collegiate coaching and recruiting, and was really ready for that next step. And the next step for him was to start a program.
Miguel Regalado has one of the country's most innovative offensive minds. While an offensive line coach and offensive coordinator at NAIA powerhouse Baker University in Kansas, he helped the Wildcats make 4 NAIA national playoff appearances and win 4 Heart of America Athletic Conference championships. In 2016, Regalado's work helped Baker run its regular season schedule undefeated and finish as the NAIA national runner-up. Regalado's work earned him a nomination for NAIA Coordinator of the Year. So, Coach, what is the basis? How do you build the foundation for a brand new football program?
You know, I don't know anybody that started a program. I've been coaching for 16 years. I've never worked with anybody that started a program from scratch. So there weren't a lot of people that I could call and say, hey, where do we start here? So to be honest with you, Shelley, everything we do here is starting a culture. There is no culture for football at Clarke University. So everything that I say to my guys is beginning a culture, from the way they conduct themselves in class, the way they conduct themselves in the cafeteria. When they come into the weight room, it is immediately the warm-up and how we take our warm-up serious, how we take every part of practice serious. It's the Clarke way is what we call it. The Clarke way is doing everything 100% with great attitude, with great effort. And so what we're doing is we're building a foundation for when this next class comes in. In 2019, we're going to have 50 more bodies here in August. And so what I'm trying to do is show that class how we do things here at Clarke.
Yes, when we begin to make the playoffs here at Clarke, you will be playing in the elements. You have to be a tough guy.
The Clarke Way is the blueprint Coach Regalado believes can carry the program to long-term success. But Regalado stresses Clarke's greatest successes won't be measured by wins and losses on the field, rather by the character of the people who wear the Clarke uniform.
We talk about a lot of life issues with our guys constantly, daily, and it's never just about winning. When you show a kid that's more than football, then they realize, okay, this is the place I want to be. And they realize Coach cares about me more than just a football player. My philosophy has always been a player wants to be coached hard. He wants to be held to a higher standard, and that's my job. My job is to get the absolute very best out of them, and then when you start holding them to that higher standard, you'd be amazed how much you can get out of kids.
The rookie coach has already made believers of his players that anything is possible for the Clarke Pride if they play together and play with heart, discipline, and conviction.
He is a great guy. He knows how to he handles his business perfectly. He makes everyone on the team believe, and he makes everyone believe that you all have a part. And if you all do your part and do your job, the chemistry of the team, you're just gonna mend and everything's gonna go well.
I like his enthusiasm and then his love for the players. You can show that he shows you that it's more than football. I just feel like he's honest. You're never gonna have to worry about trusting him.
So being a head coach obviously requires a lot of leadership. Define leadership.
I believe leadership is doing all the things that nobody wants to do that are critically important and doing a great job at them. If Coach is willing to do them, I should be willing to do them and do them with a great attitude. We do that with our kids. There's nothing I ask our kids to do that I'm not willing to do myself.
Okay, so make sure you're set and ready to go. Trav, you with me on that? Yeah. Okay, let's go to work. All the way down, all the way up, as many reps as you can. Get out of yourself and get in your partner, please. Here we go. One knee down.
On August 31st, 2019, the program will hold its very first game at home against Central Methodist University at Dalzell Field. The Pride is confident they can pull off the hardest feat in college athletics. Be a competitive team from day one.
I cannot wait till the first home game. I think we're going to show a lot of people that we come to play. I believe that it's a lot of people that's going to doubt us just because we're a new team, but I think that game is going to tell a lot about us.
Coming out of the tunnel, just gonna have goosebumps and just anxious, just waiting to get out there and flying around on the field.
Oh, I just want to win. I want to win. I think he puts us in the best position to win because he encourages you to work. He makes you want to work. He brings the best out of you.
You know, it's surreal. I've never been in those shoes, so I try to imagine what it's going to be like, and I still can't quite picture it. But I know this. I know that whoever's in that stadium on August 31st, 2019 is going to see a very disciplined football team. It's going to see a very good-looking football team. We're not going to look raggedy. We're going to look very sharp. We're going to play very hard. We're going to play very fast, and we're going to play very physical.
It all started with one mission: to find the right coach. Someone with passion and a commitment to building a foundation. Someone who could lead men and build character.
Miguel has a unique quality about him that he can control a room, he can speak with conviction, and he can motivate. So as soon as you meet Miguel, you know that he can run a football program.
He's very sincere. I mean, he's just not in this to win a game. I think he's in it to build men, and you can sense that in Miguel, and I think that's why his players gravitate toward him.
So when you got the call, when you were at Baker, you get the call about this town in eastern Iowa, it's a university trying to put together a football program. Honestly, what was your first reaction to that?
Am I ready for this? Am I ready for this? I've coached in a lot of football games. I've coached in some very high pressure situations, but saying, hey, you're gonna actually come here and start a program from scratch. We don't have a locker room, we don't have a weight room, we don't have football field, we have nothing. That was overwhelming at first. As excited as I was for that possible opportunity, I was a little, can I get this done?
20 years from now, people are going to say that Coach Regalado started this program. What do you want this program to look like at that time?
I want it to be a power. I want it to be known for a program that wins a lot of conference titles, but more importantly, they're a program that kids stay in. They come there and they graduate from Clarke because they love the program. They love what the football program does for them in their life that helps them become better people after they graduate and better fathers and better husbands, and understand also that they won a lot of rings while they were here as well.
And Shelly, you can tell by the numbers, Coach is building a strong foundation. He recruited 50 players last year, almost another 50 this year, and out of those, 25 have stayed on campus this summer to work out.
Most of those guys aren't even from the state of Iowa. As a coach, that's when you know that your team has bought in.
Shelly, across the river in East Dubuque, a remarkable story played out this past basketball season. 3 friends have been playing ball together for over 10 years with a dream that they could take their basketball program to another level, teamed with a veteran coach who had an idea of building this program into a state power by starting from square one.
Yeah, and that experience that those guys gained, the commitment that they showed, playing together since elementary school was invaluable to that success.
East Dubuque, Illinois, a sleepy, scenic northwest Illinois river town of 1,700 people, is better known for its stunning bankside view of the Mississippi River, its historic connection to legendary gangster Al Capone, and its distinct Midwest charm. Not high school basketball. March never got mad here. Winters stayed calm. That was until a close-knit, big-dreaming trio of friends changed their school and town's basketball identity.
I usually came to every home game. I just remember thinking that was going to be me someday. Like, I couldn't wait for that with all the people in the stands everywhere. Just, like, I'd go home so pumped up, just ready to grow up.
I was about the same way. I came almost every home game, all the playoff games, and just thinking that was going to be me someday. It was a cool thought.
Just across the river in Dubuque, Iowa, Eric Miller was coaching the Hempstead Mustangs in one of Iowa's fiercest conferences, the Mississippi Valley. But Miller was taken with East Dubuque's charm, close-knit community, and wildly talented basketball potential. It reminded him of a small hoops town he knew well, where basketball fever ran wild every Tuesday and Friday night.
The big school doesn't quite have that family atmosphere when you have 1,600 kids, running around a building. And I had done my assistant coaching at Cascade with Al Marshall before I went to Hempstead. And Cascade obviously has a very rich basketball tradition. It was pretty cool there on Tuesdays and Friday nights with a small community and everybody's there, and it has that family atmosphere. And so, you felt like that was something you could build here.
The walls of East Dubuque High School Gymnasium were almost bare of any postseason banners. The program's last regional championship had come during the Reagan administration, but Coach Miller saw a solid foundation in his new team.
You could see by the banners on the wall. I mean, we hadn't had when I looked at those when I walked in, I said, that's incorrect, right? No one's won a regional championship since '83, and there hasn't been a conference championship since I think it was the 60s. I'm like, that's a misprint. Like, we just forgot to put some stuff up there, right? But that's what it was. The year before I took over, I think things were starting to turn a little bit. Andy Green was coaching them that year. He just was here one year, and they were 9-16. You could see pieces there, like, this group could be better, and this could be something, really neat to build.
A new era at East Dubuque High School began with the Warriors starting from square one.
The first changes were just basic fundamentals. Quit turning the ball over. We got to learn to take care of the ball. The offensive skills take a while to develop. Those don't. You can't fix those right now, so those take time. They bought into what we're doing, and thankfully it worked, fairly early.
Meanwhile, a group of grade school friends were developing a love and passion for the game, a love for playing together, and a habit of winning.
Hunter and I started at St. Joe's in 3rd grade. Then around 5th or 6th grade, Lane joined the team, and we got a couple other East Dubuque kids to play with us too.
Once we hit about 6th grade is when we really started playing travel ball together, and we were spending every weekend together. We were always going to each other's houses and hanging out, and that kind of just started it all off, really.
When we were younger, we always had to play up. It kind of showed who we were.
Just getting used to playing against that size and strength and more ability, it just prepares you in the long run.
By the time the trio reached 8th grade, Coach Miller knew he had the core of his Warrior program for the next 4 years. And with losing the entire starting lineup of a breakthrough 29-win Warrior club, East Dubuque needed its promising young trio. They found out right away that not only would they be playing up, but that this would be no walk in the park.
So when they came in as freshmen, the kids who just graduated had just gone 29-4. I want to say 5 starters were seniors. And that was part of the reason why, as freshmen, hey, we need you guys. We didn't even have enough to put 5 people on the floor. They spent most of that summer playing against those guys who had just graduated. They're coming in and playing against guys that were probably they somewhat idolized, as junior high kids watching these guys win all these games.
Freshman year when we came in, you go from being the biggest kids, all of a sudden you're playing against grown men, or however you want to say it. It's a little bit different.
I remember I was so scared, and then the first day of practice, we just ran the whole time, and I came home and I was just I can't do this. I talked to my parents and I was I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do this.
You come to that first week of practice and it's 100 times worse than anything I've done.
We lost 9 games. I don't think we lost 9 games in our first 6 years playing together. It was tough, but in the long run, it definitely helped us, and we matured a lot that year.
Freshman to sophomore year was probably the biggest jump, because I realized, okay, our 2 senior leaders are gone. Kyle and Brendan graduated. I was okay, I gotta step into that role now and be vocal.
Physically, you figure out what you're going against. Freshman year, we were a little bit smaller than everyone, and by the time of sophomore year, I think we all put on a couple pounds and got a little stronger in the weight room and whatnot, and that helped us out.
More than anything, from sophomore on till end of senior year, was probably just mentally. Every year I became a smarter player, and I knew what was going on more.
And once this group found their comfort zone, there was no looking back. The trio powered East Dubuque to its first Illinois Class 1A Elite 8 berth their sophomore season. Then their junior year brought another regional title and sectional finals berth. And true to their close-knit nature, Lane Boyer, Peyton Heller, and Hunter Sherman all reached a scoring milestone within weeks of each other during their stellar 31-win senior season, which again saw the Warriors reach Class 1A Elite 8 status.
I want to recognize that with this last basket, Lane Boyer has reached the 1,000-point mark. Peyton's last basket, he has also reached the 1,000-point mark. With that last basket, Hunter Sherman has eclipsed the 1,000 area.
For me, reaching the 1,000-point club, it was a relief at first. It was hard not to think about it too when everyone on your bench is dude, you only need 12 points.
Yeah.
12 more. Come on,
you got the
go.
whole team passing you the ball. It's you
yeah.
feel like a ball hog, but it's come on, I gotta get this over with. I was nervous. I was out there. It felt like we were playing in the postseason because we both got it in the same night. It was as soon as we got them, everyone was just okay, let's play basketball,
I was supposed to get it earlier in the year, and then I sprained my ankle pretty bad. The game that I got it, I kind of just hogged the ball for a little bit in the first half, and then I got it, and it was all done. I was just so glad to get it.
It's a great feeling when everything that you work for pays off for sure.
Most high school programs won't produce 3 1,000-point scorers in a decade, yet alone in the same season. But few programs have a unique trifecta of talent like the Warriors had in their Big Three.
To have 3,000-point scores in one season, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things is it just a one-time and you're never going to see it again? To have 3 in the same class, that's so hard to do. You have to have 3 guys that have to be okay with, hey, if you score 15 tonight and I score 7, but we win, I'm okay with that. They really have to play that way. Hunter has the school record in assists to go with that. helps to have two guys scoring 1,000 points with you. You know, they all have career numbers that are pretty impressive outside the points.
I'm sure if you took two of us off the team, that one guy could probably score 2,500 points or something, but I'd trade those points any day to put more numbers on the wall and get farther into the postseason and play more games. That's what it was all about, and I mean, that's what made it special in the end.
They've become more than friends and teammates. The three and their coach have become family.
We break down and we say family. I mean, that it could be more true for this program. It's not just us, too. It's the whole team.
The bond, obviously us with Coach Miller, we're here for 4 years, so it's a little bit stronger than probably anybody's ever had. We get a little teary-eyed sometimes there at the end of the year. Like, you never know when it's going to be over, and it was just, you could tell how much we all meant to each other.
I think it was out at regionals, and I'm just like, hey, this is tough for me. And they go, we're good, Coach. We got you. You know, and we break down. It's hard for me to put in. I mean, I love these guys. You know, when we say we're family, I mean, they're like my sons, you know. And it's not just the three of them, it's, you know, it's all of them. I'm proud of them, more proud than they probably will ever know. Not just the basketball players. I mean, the biggest compliment I can give you, they're better people than they are basketball players. They really are, all three of them.
You don't replace a Hunter Sherman, Peyton Heller, or Lane Boyer overnight, especially not in the same season. And for the big three, the memories that they made together for their team, school, and town are unforgettable memories that they will carry with them forever.
Playing for Coach coming in, 8th grade year, they won a regional, so I was like, oh, this is the real deal. Like, we're not messing around. He's here to win. That's part of the culture that we just keep growing to. I want them to get to the next stage. We got them to super sectionals twice. For them to get over that hump and get to state would be huge. I mean, I'd definitely drive down and watch them. I'd love it.
You know, I think there's value in knowing that if you really put the work in here, you can get success from that. I mean, it doesn't come easy. You know, there's a price, there's a cost. Through hard work and through teamwork, you can succeed and, you know, attain a lot. You know, their time as players on this floor might be done, but they're not done with East Dubuque basketball, and they're not done with this program. And, you know, their legacy lives on, and they can come back here and be part of this family.
The fact that you had three players able to accomplish 1,000 points in one season is incredible. I've been around basketball nearly my entire life, so that just speaks to the fact that they are unselfish players. And there isn't a coach across the country who wouldn't want players like that on his team.
Yeah, this is definitely the start of something big, Shelley, and I wouldn't be surprised to see these three involved in the East Dubuque program down the road.
Earlier this year, the Dubuque community lost a legend in head coach Edy Kolbert. He was much like at Clarke, the very first boys basketball coach at Wahlert. He was a disciplinarian, and he established the expectation of excellence for Wahlert boys basketball.
And Shelley, folks love that style of basketball. Wahlert Eagle basketball games were must-see entertainment in Dubuque. They were packed to the rafters, fire code was in effect every night, and we just don't see that type of coach in today's game.
There are coaches who teach, win, and inspire. And then there are coaches who define a program. Longtime Dubuque Wahlert boys basketball coach Edy Kolbert was all of these. If Edy Kolbert coached as if he owned the Wahlert program, it's because he did. He was the program's first coach. When Kolbert opened the doors to Wahlert Gymnasium in the early 60s, he opened the doors to what would become one of Iowa's elite boys high school basketball programs. Kolbert's offensive style was a simple, pass-heavy, fast-paced, team-focused attack that didn't showcase individual stars. And Kolbert had zero patience for players who didn't give their all, didn't play the game his way, or as he put it, the Wahlert way.
Ed's coaching was basically this: let's not be too complicated. Let's know what we're doing, and let's see if we can execute it to the fullest, which demanded quickness, which demanded team play, which demanded full effort.
When I started playing under him, as a junior especially, he was in your face. If he thought you had some talent or he thought he could make something out of you, he was in kind of everybody's face, and either you made it or you didn't. Pretty direct conversation, and it was directed at you and you knew it.
You know, we were only 14 or 15 years old at that time, so we were kind of in awe of him and more scared probably than anything else.
I was intimidated by him. He was a disciplinarian, had a great reputation. I'd known a lot of the guys who had played for Coach before I got on the varsity team, so we were well aware of the situation we were getting ourselves into.
Discipline was on the court, off the court. You did as he wanted you to do. I know that if you misbehaved off the court and it got back to him, however severe it might have been, you were basically out in left field without a glove. It was that way.
Kolbert's dedication to fundamentals on both sides of the ball made the Eagles a disciplined program. Wahlert basketball wasn't for the weak of heart. Practices needed to have game-like intensity and effort. Their demanding coach would not accept anything less.
Ed was one of those guys who really stressed fundamentals on the court, and I know they spent a lot of practice time on doing things the right way and made sure that they played basketball the way he wanted it. And if they weren't on board with that, you better get on board with it, or maybe Wahlert basketball's not for you.
His practices were hard, they were tough, they were mean. I know if you got knocked down to the floor, Ed expected you to hop right back up.
We are not going to have problems of playing the game because we're not in condition.
Wind sprints, if everyone didn't run to the end of the line, the whole crew would run again. So you had to run all the way through the line, or that whole crew ran again. He would stop practices sometimes and say, "You guys are horrible, get the hell out of here." And that would be the end of practice.
I thought he was a really tough coach who was big on making sure that you were in the best shape possible. So he put us through a lot of running drills late in the season to do that, because he was really an offensive-minded coach.
What I remember about practice is we practiced offense. We practiced his weak side offense, with repetition being to the point where it had to be practically perfect.
His big thing was when they set the offense, pick and roll. And then that kind of was going out, and we'd hear different people say, "Well, that's so old time." Well, guess what's in basketball right now? The pick and roll is the game of basketball right now. So actually, Ed was way ahead of his time.
Kolbert wasn't a prisoner of his coaching preferences. Just as his third season started, the personnel on his team had started to change, and Kolbert had to adapt.
I started off with him when I was a sophomore, and I was playing a little bit of the sophomores and the varsity. We had a couple of kids that were hurt. He was kind of a slow-down, set-up offense type coach, run plays off his offense, his weak side offense. And that wasn't working real well. And we had a group of guys that were quick. We also had some guys that were good rebounders. So he decided he was going to run.
Even at that time, before the three-point shot, it was nothing for Ed's teams to hit 80, 70, 80, 90 points in a game.
It was make them miss, outlet pass, fill the lanes, fast break, and if that didn't work, then you ran the weak side offense.
Once that ball came off, the missed shot came off the rim, the ball better not hit the floor. He was all about turn, fire it to the wing, and then attack the basket.
Ed emphasized offense. Defense is something you had to do. And his idea was, if we execute properly, they're not going to stop us.
Opponents couldn't argue with the power of the Wahlert offense. The Golden Eagles rode Kolbert's brand of basketball into what could be called the golden age of Wahlert basketball. Kolbert's Eagles had captured the basketball imagination of Dubuque.
We had two freshman teams, and at that time, the freshmen would get sometimes 100 kids out for basketball.
His ability to generate the enthusiasm for the program 12 months out of the year And I don't think he was consciously trying to say, oh, I'm going to develop this kind of enthusiasm. He just did.
I think my greatest memory of playing at Wahlert was the atmosphere at the home games.
I mean, coming out of the parking lot, I usually had to park about a mile away and walk with all my equipment up to the gym door because it was that packed.
I remember being down in the locker room, and you could actually hear the chants of the students and the fans in the stands before the game even started, before we went out to warm up, and it was a packed house every night.
And when I came for the sophomore game, and I got there at usually 5 o'clock, our game was like 6:30, and there was a line of fans from the door that went out, and it went down the street.
And I can remember looking out from the perch high at Wahlert High School, the press box, seeing people stacked 3 or 4 deep behind the bleachers or behind the seats on the stage.
And I found out later when I went to college that most kids in high school didn't have the same experience we had at Wahlert, where it was a packed house every night and we had a great following. And a lot of that was due to Coach Kolbert's success.
Ed Kolbert had carried his teams to 10 Iowa State Tournament appearances. Wahlert's season-long focus was on reaching Veterans Auditorium in Des Moines.
So we'd start out usually at the beginning of the year, and he'd have maybe 8 players that he'd run through as your kind of your lead players, and then pretty soon he'd get down to where it was 5 or 6. But he kind of would be able to pick out who he thought was working really well as a team.
He didn't have any problem sitting guys down or making decisions that were tough all year long to teach you lessons that he needed to implement by the end of the year. So he played for the end of the year. There was no doubt about that.
All the preparation, all the appearances, there was still one hole on the program's resume.
And I can remember how difficult those days were on him. With all his success, he had never won a state championship. The second place runner-up finishes, the third place, the fourth place, all the appearances at the state tournament. I know how badly he wanted that state championship. I'm sure it bothered him terribly because I know what a competitor he was.
As the 1979-80 season dawned, Wahlert basketball was not only entering a new decade, but a new era and a new level of greatness. At long last, the Kolbert way was the way of Iowa's best high school boys basketball team. The Eagles went undefeated to a 25-0 season and their first state championship.
It was would almost bring one to tears. I think it brought me to tears.
As I can remember there were about 20 seconds left, and I was on the bench with Ed and Frank, and I gave him a hug and I said, well deserved, and which was just the culmination of a great career.
But after the nets had been cut down, and with a talent-rich team loaded with returning starters waiting in the wings to defend their title, Ed Kolbert shocked his team and the Dubuque sports community by walking away from the team he loved. He announced his retirement from coaching at the team banquet.
When he told the parents and the kids, you could feel, what? We just went 25-0?
It was almost Ed saying, you know what, I've won my championship. I'm going to go right off into the sunset now.
This was maybe the most successful basketball coach in the state of Iowa. All of a sudden, next year, we're going to have a different coach? Yeah, it was a memorable night. And he got I remember that time, and Ed didn't get choked up much, but he got a little choked up that night.
The thing that I found ironic was that the next year, Jim McGrath came in and wins it in his first year with the talent that Ed had produced and built up. And you know, if Jim McGrath knew what kind of talent he had coming in, Ed Kolbert certainly knew what kind of talent he was leaving behind for the next guy. And I always had twice the respect for Ed Kolbert after that night.
Behind every successful head coach is a great assistant. Frank Delaney was Ed Kolbert's confidant, good friend, mediator for players, and coaching conscious. Without Frank Delaney, Ed Kolbert's Wahlert Golden Eagles wouldn't have flown as high.
Frank was kind of the mediator sometimes between the players and Coach Kolbert. Frank would come in and he'd kind of calm you down and, tell you this is what you might have to do. The coach isn't, he isn't trying to run you down. He just wants to make you better.
It was the normal good cop, bad cop
they invented good cop, bad cop.
Good cop, bad cop type of thing. So Kolbert was a very strict disciplinarian, in practice, did a lot of yelling from that stuff. And Coach Delaney was the guy that came up, kind of pat you on the back, said, hey, don't worry about it.
To me, a perfect match, because Frank was such a dedicated team player, and whatever Ed needed done, Frank would do.
So much of it had to do with trust. And, there was really a unity there, a bonding. But Ed and Frank, very similar in personality. You could see Ed Kolbert in Frank Delaney's face. You really could. They were 2 in 1, as I always said.
Ed Kolbert and Frank Delaney's remarkable influence and legacy on the Wahlert boys basketball team lives on today as the Eagles court bears their names.
What else would you name it? The only name that Jim could have is Kolbert Delaney Jim.
Ed and Frank Delaney were a great pair. I think Ed would tell you that Frank was a really big part of their success as well, and I think it's really neat that the assistant coach was honored as well as Ed. Those were 2 guys that the kids respected. They were like family to them. Those 2 were like brothers, and therefore that permeated throughout the program. After everything that they accomplished, and because they were the early ones that really established the culture of Wahlert basketball, I think it's perfectly apt that the court is named after those 2 legends.
Today, Dubuque Wahlert boys basketball remains an elite boys basketball program. The Golden Eagles captured state gold in 2008, 2014, and 2015, and have produced multiple NCAA Division I players. Ed Kolbert is long gone, but the Eagles still play like he never left the gym.
Look what Wahlert has done since that time, since 1981. Multiple state championships, outstanding teams typically every year, or at least competitive teams every year. That has a lot to do with the trailblazing of Ed Kolbert.
I think he made us better people. He made us better men. And he helped us kind of put our lives forward in helping us be successful in the future.
I think everybody that played for Coach Kolbert still called him Coach. I called him Coach to the day he died, and I think all the people that I know called him Coach, which is, I think, a great compliment.
I think back about this often. Had Ed not been our coach in those early years, would Wahlert basketball be what it is today? I think all the coaches and all the players that have come after him have really desired to live up to that expectation that Ed set and try to maintain that culture that Ed and his staff set over those years. So I think, I don't know where Wahlert basketball would be had not Ed Kolbert been our coach for 20 years.
He was one of my favorite people of all time that helped mold my life and helped give me things that I never would have probably gotten anyplace else. Everything I learned on that basketball court from him, I applied to my job. And so I think I carried him with me. Every time I ran up steps at the hospitals that I called in and selling to hospitals, I would run up the steps and run through the line. So that's how much effect he had on me.
Disciplined them strongly, and we ran the hell out of them in fundamentals, and we could do a lot of things that other teams couldn't do. I always said, now here's the way it's going to be. It's going to be tough, and if you don't like the way that I'm handling it, maybe you should go somewhere else. It was a team game, and when you win and keep winning, it's more fun.